land that has been fought over for 8,000 years and then torn apart by civil war. It's a small country sandwiched between the sea and the desert, with breathtaking mountain forests and fertile valleys that have filled the food baskets of civilizations everywhere. Lebanon.
Welcome to Lebanon!
Lebanese food is world famous and as varied as it is distinctive. From 4000 BC, the region has been influenced by a very wide range of traditions. First, there were the Phoenicians, later the Romans, the Arabs, then came the Crusaders, followed by the Ottomans, and finally the French. All of them have left their mark. Lebanon has forever been a crossroads of cultures, and therefore a crossroads of cuisine. I set out to explore the roots of Lebanese food and how it's become what it is today. Located on the eastern side of the Mediterranean, Lebanon is bordered to the north and east by Syria and to the south by Israel. Its position in the Middle East has meant a great deal of political instability. Its capital, Beirut, is where I start my journey. I sample the local street food, then travel south to fish in the ancient port of Tyre. Driving up into the Chouf Mountains, I learned to pickle and preserve before reaching Zaleh, famous for its meze. Passing through the lush Bekaa Valley, I visit Tripoli, where I try something rare and feast with gypsies before returning to the buzz of Beirut's TV studios. Although the civil war is over, Lebanon is still a battleground. In spite of this, the Lebanese living in Beirut from all over the world have brought a sophistication and flavour that gave it its name, the Paris of the Middle East. My first port of call, one of Beirut's famous juice bars. You're exactly the same. Thank you. What a great shop.
Nice to be here.
I hear this is a fantastic place to have a juice.
You can show you have a very big list of juices. You can choose whatever
Let
you
me
want.
see if there's anything I don't know. Okay. Jalab, is that worth having?
Fantastic, and it's Lebanese, typical Lebanese.
And is it good for me?
Yes.
Okay, one jalab.
No, one jalab.
What else have we got here that looks... Avocado. We normally...
You can mix it with strawberries, with mango, without any...
I'll go with the flow, okay. Whatever sounds good.
Safe hands. Bye.
Thank you. Okay, fantastic. Now, this is a classic example of, firstly, the most awesome fresh produce you can see here. But also, if you come with me, there's so many different influences here in Lebanon. We've got French bread, Turkish-influenced sweets here, loads and loads of Arabian bread. Look at that, fantastic. The most amazing tomatoes, check that out. There is no way that has been grown in the greenhouse. Look at that, it's wicked. Over there, they're endive and asparagus, which again are, you know, definitely French influence. This is okra, which is Indian origin. And I wonder how my juices are doing. Thanks, guys. Oh my gosh. That's something my grandmother would put behind her ears. I mean, it just tastes like a perfume. And I still haven't quite established what jalab is. Jalab?
This is jalab.
Ah, now that, I know, that's carob. But I tell you, you never know it. It's got so much perfume. It's got like nuts floating in it. But I'm sure it's incredibly good for you. Let me just try the other one. This is my avocado smoothie. Whoa. Well, it's definitely more than avocado in that. There's bananas, mango. You know, normally a bit of vinaigrette for me on my avocado, but I tell you, that's a new way to eat it. It's fantastic. Skip the perfume and I'll stick with this.
Welcome to Beirut. Welcome.
I met up with Naila Audi, a well-known food writer and restaurateur, who's going to give me a little guided tour of traditional Lebanese street food.
Marie-Lise.
I'm Marie-Lise, nice to meet you.
من لندن.
أنا بدي أشيك
بدنا نعملها فتة أحسن فتة عندك.
So what are we going to have? What's his speciality here?
We're here for the fatteh, which is a chickpea-based dish with yogurt.
Native to Lebanon, chickpeas have been growing in the hills and forming a key part of the diet as far back as 3,500 BC.
Olives and radishes are always on a Lebanese table when you're starting to eat.
But this place is really about
It is
chickpeas.
about the fatty, absolutely. That's the fatty. That's the famous
So just
fatty.
talk me through the fatty. This is what exactly?
This is really chickpeas that have been soaked and boiled, and yogurt, different spices, pine nuts, and fried pita bread that you can see on the edge.
But the chickpeas are the hero of this dish, and they've been part of Lebanese cuisine for thousands of years.
Lebanon was all about the mountains. Lebanese, Phoenician, Arabs, I don't know how you want to call them, were always mountain people. And I think they had grains, they had preserved meats, they had things that they could...
Would survive the environment
the
they were in.
winter time, which were harsh winters.
Plus, chickpeas have got both protein and
Exactly.
carbohydrates in. And it's also got yogurt in as well, isn't it?
Yogurt,
With more-
chickpeas, pine nuts, oil, fried in oil. It's one of my favorite
That's
foods.
delicious. I mean, it's very citrusy. Lots of lemon in there. What's this one?
This is the same version with meat. So you have the chickpeas, yogurt.
What kind of meat?
That's the preserved meat that he has
It
added
tastes
on
lammy
top
to
of
me.
that.
That is
It
absolutely
is lamb.
awesome.
It is lamb.
Mm.
So you like it?
Oh, God, I love it. The lamb,
this
you know what I like
is-
about it as well, is the lamb is really salty. And you've got the creaminess of the yogurt. You've got the texture of the chickpeas.
Yeah, yogurt is like
and
richer.
citrusy. Oh,
It's like cream. It's not like yogurt.
no.
Really.
And no wonder you guys are obsessed with this stuff. It's fab.
So that's another version of your chickpea.
Another one. More chickpeas.
And this one you should eat it with your bread.
It's completely
Boiled.
different, isn't it?
Yeah, and lemon for sure.
Okay, you're not
and
eating.
garlic.
You've got to dive
I'm
in.
gonna
I'm
eat.
eating on my own. I feel like a real
I'm gonna
pig here.
eat.
Next stop, the Corniche, to taste another typical Lebanese breakfast.
We're gonna have manouche now. You're gonna love
Manouche.
it. Love it. This is what you would eat, like if you're in Paris, you would be having croissant. In Beirut, you would be having manouche.
So it's like is it an Arab-style bread, that, is
It's
it?
exactly Arab-style bread. And then she covers it with za'atar. Za'atar is the oregano, dried oregano, mixed with sesame seeds and olive oil.
Oh, punchy.
So we're gonna have two varieties. One is gonna be the plain manouche, and the other one is gonna be mixed with labneh, which is a sort of
Cheesy.
yogurt.
I mean, that's healthy. You've got olive oil, you've got
Very
sesame seeds.
Actually, when we were kids, our parents would make us eat the za'atar because they said it was like very, very good for the brain.
Brain food. Yummy. It is so delicious. Brilliant. The national dish of Lebanon is baked kibbeh, served in restaurants everywhere as meze in the shape of small meatballs, though traditionally it's made at home as a kind of flat, nutty meatloaf. Now, I'm making kibbeh with my friend Louise here, and her recipe is apparently legendary. And this is the old-fashioned way they used to make it. So at the moment we've got onion in here. So I've just crushed down the onions with the salt and the white pepper.
نشيل البصل.
Okay, now the hard work starts. Meat.
ده أصول الكبة اللبنانية.
Shall I have a go? The lamb is pounded until completely broken down to a kind of meat paste. Then we add white pepper, a little more salt, and the crushed onions. Then the pounding continues. Oh, thank goodness all the pounding's over. I'm pounded out. Okay, so what's next? Okay, onions. Now we're using lamb in this recipe. Originally it would have been goat. And the recipe originated in the north of Lebanon. And apparently every household has its own kibbeh recipe. She's softening the onions, not colouring them, and she's really particular about this. So in go the pine nuts. And then we've got our minced lamb, plenty of salt. Secret spice is allspice, which will give it a lovely sort of perfumed flavour. Delicious. We're just basically taking the colour out, sort of sealing the meat. And then heat off?
Yes.
Okay. Finish?
Yes.
Oh, no, this is the bulgur, which is like a cracked wheat. The bulgur absorbs enough water just with a rinse. It then goes into the mix, which is about half and half meat to bulgur.
Good.
It's really amazing how much the texture's changed.
Heck, good, heck.
Oh, God, no, keep going, sorry. So wrong.
مش هيك.
Bulgur wheat is often used in Lebanese cooking and grows abundantly here in the winter in coastal regions.
شوي.
Oh, it's split in half? Okay.
هيدا.
And they'd share this, and this is sort of the way that you'd have it, you know, with your family. Well, actually, the water makes it...
تحطيش
Oh, sorry,
مي.
oops.
ما تحطي مي ما تحطي مي.
Oh, sorry, too much water. Should I tip on?
Yes.
Like this?
كله هون أنا بعدين بظبطه.
The pine nuts and minced lamb goes in to make up the filling, followed by another layer of the meat and bulgur, which is smoothed out with the wet hand. You can then decorate the top using a knife. Give it a good dressing of olive oil and place the dish into a hot oven for about 20 minutes.
هلا بنحطها بالفرن هي بدها 20 دقيقة بالفرن.
Look at that. Looks gorgeous. Apparently, a Lebanese cook is judged by the quality of their kibbeh, and these days you can find a whole variety of different kinds. Vegetarian kibbeh, organic kibbeh, fish kibbeh, kibbeh with tomato, the options are endless. I just love kibbeh.
Welcome to Beirut.
The French took control of Beirut during the First World War and remained here for 30 years. The French style and architecture changed the face of Beirut. However, during the Civil War, which raged between 1975 and 1990, the centre of Beirut was totally destroyed. Now, I'm here in Place d'Etoile, which, as you can see, is brand new, and the French style is still very much apparent. I mean, the place looks French, the sort of etiquette, the service, and the style is very French. I mean, these guys could virtually be working in a restaurant in Paris or somewhere. But interestingly enough, the one thing that hasn't really been influenced is the Lebanese food. The French didn't really touch that, and I think that's probably because the Lebanese cuisine was so ingrained and loved by their people. And this definitely isn't French. Oh, this is called a shisha, and it is basically tobacco, and it is flavoured with grape, and it is passed through a watermelon, and they love it out here. And this is my first time I've ever had it. Everybody's looking. I was about to say it's all right, and then I got this really horrible perfumed aftertaste of the grapes. But the kind of process of sitting here smoking is quite like that, quite into that. I feel kind of quite chilled out. I'm actually getting a slight mild head rush. I think I must be off the tobacco. But they're all mad about it here.
Welcome. Welcome to Beirut.
Jamaizi is quite a happening area downtown. It has a flavour of old Beirut with a heap of new bars and restaurants that have opened up over the last few years, including Johnny Farrow's restaurant Bread, where you can savour a contemporary Lebanese take on Mediterranean food.
Seafood salad.
It smells so fantastic. OK, Johnny, enough chat. I need to eat. First thing I'm going to try is the seafood with the squid ink vinaigrette.
Yeah, that is great.
Oh, it's delicious.
It's a high season for seafood, so you can find shrimps and calamari and all that.
Can we try the sardines? The sardines, the freshest sardines, spicy, with... I mean, the Lebanese twist is definitely... I mean, there's the herbs and spices in there that would be not Mediterranean.
This is what we call the friki. It's smoked.
Full of flavour.
Smoky.
You kind of know... Yeah, you kind of know it's good for you.
Hurrah.
Oh.
Hurrah. Is it?
Perfect.
Very good. It's good, no?
Oh, that's so good. Quite salty. The meat is pink, but it's been rested. The mint puree is just perfect.
Wow.
Yeah.
You have it. Good fun now.
It's got dried cherries in it and like melting chocolate.
This is very good.
We need more people like you in this world.
We massacred the fun zone.
Thank you. I leave Beirut and head south to explore the roots of Lebanese cuisine in the ancient city of Tyre, a region frequently caught up in complicated political turmoil and war. I then turn inland, climbing northeast up through the Shuf Mountains to Beit Adin. In 4000 BC, the Phoenicians arrived in Tyre and established a trading port in the region that was then known as Levante. The Phoenicians were the first great seafaring nation of the Middle East, and they were also one of the first empires of the ancient world. They were great traders of silks and spices. However, here they were famed for the murex, which is a large kind of mollusk or shellfish. And it was good to eat, but it also produced a fantastic purple dye. And it was on the back of that that Tyre grew and became incredibly wealthy. Fishing has been a local industry along the Lebanese coast for centuries, and while it's well known that stocks are depleted in the Mediterranean due to overfishing and pollution, the fish market still survives in Tyre. A common technique here is to use a trap much like a lobster pot, called an el coffe, which is filled with sea algae as bait or even dough or bread. Left overnight, it usually attracts a number of tasty small fish. These are banchafi. Fish have always been hugely prized in Lebanon, so much so that not even meze is served with it, and it's often eaten plain to savour the taste. On the quayside here in Tyre, fishermen cook the fish using an extremely simple grilling method. Captain, we're looking good, huh? Do you put anything on for salt? There's, do you want No, okay, no. Very simple, rustic style fish. Will I squeeze? Oh, that lemon smells awesome. Okay, so how do we eat this? Tell me how we eat. Take the bread. And we just take off that, and then we eat. It's very simple, I suppose I would say. They're not the tastiest tiddlers I've ever had. I mean, it's really simply cooked, which I love. And it's definitely fresh fish. Good? Yeah. Thank you, Captain. Next, I travel northeast up into the Shuf Mountains to meet up with food writer Anissa Halou, who has offered to take me to a family in a small Druze village called Marist, where they still preserve meat and pickle fruit and vegetables in the same way they have for generations.
Welcome to Lebanon.
The Druze Muslims apparently originated in Egypt in the 11th century and are known to be an extremely tight-knit community who only marry amongst themselves, don't often welcome new followers, and don't divulge their beliefs or practices. So we're pickling here, and you pack them in tight,
yeah, try and do it like straight so that the cucumber is against the wall of the... so that you can fit as many cucumbers as possible.
She's going to get that big one in. I think she's going to get that because we're a little bit optimistic.
All the surplus is used in preserves, like pickling. Now they pickle all the kind of vegetables that, you know, they have a surplus of.
So what's in this, the liquid that she's pickling it?
It's vinegar, water and salt with wine vinegar.
And how long will it take before it's pickled?
About a month. Delicious.
It's lovely with a bit of lamb in some flatbread.
Now this is the best thing. You know, stuffed vine leaves are one of the national dishes, and because you don't have it's a very short season, they preserve it.
Shall I give her a hand? We can fold, could we? You'll find pickled fruit and vegetables on the shelves of every storeroom in the village. And in fact, in any home or restaurant in Lebanon, pickles are always served. What she says?
When it's like hermetically sealed with a suction action, they don't put anything.
Oh, so it's completely...
But when it's a regular jar like this, it's a bit of water and salt.
Would you mind if I open?
فينا نفتح هيدا ونشوف ورقة منه. So she will show you how they open it. فرجينا هيدا كيف تفتح الورقة تستعمليها. You see how they're
completely changed.
They soften as well.
Can I try one, or is it not good to eat?
Take one. But it's not very good, but it needs ما راح تتشقشق قبل ما تستعمل.
I mean, it's salty and vinegary, but the consistency is fantastic.
Yeah.
It was the Arabs who introduced the style of eating and etiquette that evolved into meze, probably the best-known Lebanese food around the world. The Arabs arrived in the region after the Phoenicians and ruled for 100 years. They also had a huge influence on the cuisine. making three classics, aren't we? We're doing hummus,
Hummus,
we're
yes.
doing spinach triangles, and tabbouleh. And we're going to start with the hummus,
Yes.
which is, I mean, made all over
Which
the Middle
is
East.
global now, absolutely global. But except that, well, we make it only with tahini, whereas elsewhere they make it with olive oil as well. So the first thing to do is to kind of mash the chickpeas. And while I do that, maybe you want to kind of pound the garlic.
Okay. That's tahini.
That's tahini.
How much lemon juice do you want? Tablespoon or so?
No, more.
More.
The taste here is very lemony, but I tend to use less.
And will I put the garlic in?
Yeah, please. So that's it. And the trick here is to kind of spread it on the plate and do that groove where you're going to kind of put the olive oil. So a very classic garnish is a few whole chickpeas in the middle, a little bit of chopped parsley over that, and then you do like this. And you stay on the ridge. And if you hand me the oil,
It just looks like a picture,
That's
you know?
it.
Doesn't it? That looks gorgeous. Look at that. Almost too good to eat. So what are we
So,
making next? We're making
now-
another classic, aren't we?
we're making the spinach triangles. So I need salt, sumac, and pepper over the onion. And if you want, I can let you rub the onions to soften
Okay, no
them.
problem. Plenty
And
of
I
salt, I
will
presume.
do actually more sumac.
And the sumac, isn't it? That's actually, it's not a spice, is it?
Berry. No,
Oh,
it's
berry.
a berry.
Okay.
That is dried and then crushed. So I need salt here. So what happens is that I'm going to kind of rub the spinach until it wilts really. And now look. So
Gosh, there's plenty of water coming out.
now what I'm going to do is separate the leaves.
And I've mixed I hope my onion stuff is good for you.
It looks great. So I've added a bit of pine nuts, and what I think we will need some lemon juice.
Gosh, hey, could miss out the lemon juice. And talk me through the dough. This is just a very simple dough recipe,
This
isn't it?
is unleavened dough. It's only with salt, water, and olive oil. You know, and flour, obviously.
What does meze mean?
Well, meze comes from the Persian verb maza, to taste, to relish. And it came, I mean, originally, the meze was a ancient Persian thing, where they served tart fruit with their unripe wine to alleviate the bitter taste. There is your spinach triangle, fatayr.
And then how long would these, what kind of oven temperature and how long would they go in the...
About 220 degrees and about maybe 15, 20 minutes. Okay, so serious piece of information for tabbouleh.
Okay.
How to chop the herbs. They have to be almost as if they were sliced into thin slivers. This is when young girls, in the old days, Lebanese girls had a family who came to ask for the hand of the girl, and they asked about her, what she's good at.
Can she chop parsley?
Can she make a good tabbouleh? Does she chop parsley really fine? I would have never had a husband.
And this is always in tabbouleh, isn't it, tomato?
Always. And not peeled, not seeded, nothing.
And I presume you want this going very fine. Mint in?
Yeah, please.
So it's only like almost an eighth of quantity of mint parsley. It really is parsley,
It's
isn't
a third, actually.
it? It's a third.
Yeah. See how green it is? If you were making it in Europe, you would use all this burgle and probably more, right? And this is how much I'm going to use.
Oh, it's like a show of,
Exactly.
a show of bulgur as opposed to
That's all.
the cinnamon.
The 7 spice mixture. Now this is a very interesting mixture.
Can I smell?
It's 7 spices. We use it in a lot of different things in Lebanon. Salt, please. And
Okay.
lemon juice and olive oil.
Okay, that's a surprise. Salt is lemon.
And we're done.
Fantastic. So our triangles have got to cook for about 20 minutes. And then we can sit down and eat, which is the good bit.
And have a drink.
I'll have a drink. Can I tell you something? I'm frankly over chopping. Really?
Me too. I'm not interested in finding a husband.
Me neither.
All Middle Eastern countries have some version of meze, which is a collective term for a wide variety of small hot and cold dishes. Meze made at home are usually supplemented by others that are bought in, such as baba ganoush or aubergine puree and warak or vine leaves. They're eaten at a leisurely pace, often served as a starter or simply to accompany
Take a
drinks.
sip.
Thank you. The cedar tree is the Lebanese national symbol and appears at the heart of their flag. Cedars were used as early as 4000 BC by the Phoenicians to build their boats, also by the Romans, right up to the 1900s by French and Lebanese alike. They're protected in parks like this, where you can often find tantalising local produce for sale too. Crossing over the Shuf Mountains, I descend into the Bekaa Valley, stopping off in Zaleh before continuing north to the region between Baalbek and Tanai. The Arabs created their strongholds in the mountains, mainly in the area surrounding Zaleh, which these days is most famous for its restaurant terraces known as riverside casinos, which line the river's edge in the upper part of town. Here you can sample the entire spread of meze dishes, together with the national drink arak, an aniseed liquor mixed with water, much like French pastis.
Welcome to Lebanon.
At the northeastern end of the Bekaa Valley is Baalbek, a rural town sitting on one of the Middle East's ancient treasures. This very unstable region is one of the main bases of the radical political party Hezbollah, who are at the centre of regional conflicts. So I was very lucky to be able to visit at this time. Here there once stood the most impressive temples outside Rome, taking 10,000 slaves over 200 years to build. This is, or rather was, a temple of Jupiter, and if I can get up here, you can get the picture of what an extraordinary piece of engineering this was. And though only 6 columns remain, they've survived centuries of war and earthquake, and each one is 2.5 meters wide and 20 meters tall, and I feel absolutely tiny. In the entrance of the Temple of Bacchus, you can still make out the decoration of grapes, apium poppies and wheat engraved into the stone. This place was a legendary venue for all kinds of debauched worship, including sacrifices, orgies and rivers of wine. The Bekaa Valley has been an extremely fertile agricultural region throughout history. It was one of Rome's important breadbaskets, but as well as wheat, they also had vineyards. The cellars at Chateau Cassara winery were built by the Romans 2,000 years ago and remain unchanged. Originally a natural grotto, they excavated 2 kilometres of narrow tunnels into the limestone. Eli Mamari from Cassara showed me around.
From 1914 to 1918.
Gosh, at least they had wine to drink.
A lot of wine.
And I have to say, I'm just looking around me at all these bottles, and they're completely, some of them are absolutely covered in mould.
It needs almost 10 years to make 1 millimeter of this mold. So this means they are more than 60 years old. These are 1928.
Wow, that's
These
like
two,
before the Second World War.
186, that's it.
Incredible.
That's it. Most interesting part of the visit. That's the
drinking of the wine.
Yeah, that's
fantastic. Oh, it's nice and light. It smells light on the nose.
Agrums.
Very lemony.
Yes, and at the same time very fruity, flowery.
It's powerful enough to stand up to some Lebanese food,
of
you know.
Course,
it's
of course. With we tried a lot with the fried fish, Sultan Ibrahim, we call it. Fried fish, it's really good.
What next? The rosé. Look at that colour. Isn't that fantastic?
The rosé, that's Syrah and Cabernet Franc, 50%, 50%. This colour that is not bright, but not,
now you're talking.
Not pink.
It's very dry. That's really dry.
It is dry and very flowery. English candy. Beau anglais.
So have you saved the best to last?
Yeah, that's it. 50% of Petit Verdot, 30% of Syrah, and 20% of Cabernet Sauvignon.
Wow. That packs a punch, isn't it? That's fantastic. If you had a blind tasting, I swear that people would get that confused with some pretty famous French wines, wouldn't they?
Great Bordeaux, that's for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
This is the wine that is exported all over the world also.
Great. Kasara also get grapes from the Jesuit monastery at Tanai. I met up with Father Jan Bronsveld, one of the 6 priests who runs the estate.
Gosh, this is pretty special.
Their farm was established along with the monastery in 1833, when the land was given to them as compensation by the Ottomans in return for killing the original priests who had settled here. The entire estate was swampland, which the Jesuits set about transforming into a farm of 230 hectares. They grow wheat, make honey, and produce fruits of all sorts for jams and compotes. They also have 120 cows, and it's this dairy that is legendary and has become the best-known brand in the whole of Lebanon. At the farm shop, Father Jan introduced me to Elia Gora, who manages the dairy.
Hi, I'm Marilee.
A delicacy here is libe, which is extremely rich milk that is taken from a cow within 3 days of it giving birth.
So it's very rich in vitamin and fat and everything. People use it, they think that it would give them so much energy. It's good.
It's like warm milk.
Yes, it's...
I mean, it's just really creamy milk.
Yes, it's creamy.
Their dairy herd produces 1,500 litres of milk a day, from which they make ghee, butter, yogurt, and a wide variety of cheeses. The Lebanese believe earnestly that you should use up all you have. For this reason, there's such an array of dairy produce.
They're very famous halloumi cheese.
Halloumi was originally made by the Bedouins from ewe or goat's milk. It's firm, salty, and has a long shelf life, which was ideal for their lifestyle. These days, the favourite way of eating it is grilled or skewered on a kebab or served as a meze.
And now we're gonna cook the cheese in the way.
Throw it in?
Yes.
To avoid wastage, one of the Dutch priests came up with the idea that any fresh cheese unsold within 2 days should be used to produce the only Dutch Gouda made in Lebanon.
Really, really smell the cumin.
Taste.
Whoops. Normally, I think Gouda's really boring.
This
But
one.
cumin gives it a bit of Middle Eastern zing.
I travel on to the city of Tripoli, the northernmost point of my journey, before taking the coast road south back into Beirut. Tripoli is Lebanon's second largest city. It was influenced by the Christian Crusades that began in the 11th century, though much more so by 300 years of Ottoman rule which followed and gave it its distinctive flavour.
Welcome to Lebanon.
I arranged to meet hotelier Mustafa Haider in Café Fahim, which was originally built by the Ottomans. The cafe itself hasn't changed in 110 years, and it's a well-known meeting place for locals. One very popular local dish has particular Turkish influence.
This is the world famous lamb bajin.
Yeah, this is famous lamb bajin.
It looks delicious. And this is, you were saying, it's the kind of classic.
It's a real Turkish food.
So this is basically a thin pastry with lamb on top.
It's a lamb. It's a thin pastry and kind of lamb. A little bit of spiciness.
The meat is meltingly tender though, isn't it? And the pastry thin. Oh, it's fantastic. You can see why it's so popular.
Yeah.
The Ottoman Empire seized power in 1516 and remained right up to World War I. The Khan El Saboun Souk was built 500 years ago before they arrived. Though once here, the Ottomans made their mark. The souk itself is one of the best preserved anywhere in the world. In amongst the bustle, we found some local treats to savour.
Is that what I think it is?
Yeah, it's quite delicate here.
This is beef, yeah?
Yeah, it
So
is.
it's a bull's testicle.
It is.
And you eat them here?
Yeah,
So is this a kind of classic butcher
it
that you
is.
get?
It
This
is.
is really
This is
traditional.
quite a classic.
Why is he smiling? He's obviously got other delicacies to show me.
We want to show you something really famous here. This is what you saw outside.
So this is why you brought me here, yeah?
Yeah. And this is a liver where we can eat it raw.
You eat it raw here?
Yeah, you have to try it.
I'd never eat
It's
liver raw.
very
I'm
usual
gonna
here.
eat beef
And
tartare.
especially that we
Is
eat
he
it
making
with...
for me to try now?
Yeah.
Yeah, plenty of salt. Try anything once, as they say. Hi. Okay, it's gonna be good.
Yeah. You can take it out. Just so it.
Nine. I don't like it. It's the texture, and you like that?
Yeah, we eat it a lot.
Sorry, I don't want to be rude. Just explain to me.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's delicious. It's
بس
just...
ما حبته. يعني هي انه طيبه بس هي ما حبت ما في على الاكل الني بس عم نجربه رحنا هيدا.
Sorry.
And you have to see the head of the goat. We eat it like, or we eat it like this, as it is.
Really? Well, not raw.
No.
It's gonna say that'd be really like. I'm not laughing. It's not funny. Oh man.
Don't taste it. If you don't, just fine.
I love it.
Don't taste it.
Yeah, I'm gonna try.
Okay.
I mean,
I'm not.
it's good.
Yeah? That's good for you.
I didn't look visually. I wouldn't say it was that appealing. On the taste, but it's good. Good, really good.
You want more?
I want more. No. I mean, you know, it's nice, but it's not. I left Mustafa in the souk and went to explore a neighbourhood called Mina, which means port. Now, I've tried loads of different foods all over the place, but the one thing I haven't had a chance to try yet is falafel. So I'm going to just grab the chance to try one. Hi. Can I have one falafel, please? Thank you. Is it okay, chili? For chili? Thank you. Now, you can eat falafel all over the Middle East, but the Lebanese reckon it originated here, and they also say they make the best. No, neon cabbage, nothing, I'll give that a miss. Pickles? Wicked, thank you. Tomatoes, definitely. Mint. Loads of mint. Ooh, I love the way they put fresh mint and everything here. Now this will be tahini, yes, definitely a little bit of tahini dressing. Thank you. And this, chili, yeah, definitely. He's smiling, so maybe it's hot. And how much? So it's cheap food, it's like snack food. And I love it. Okay, thank you. I'm just gonna eat it right here. It's so fantastic. The falafel you get at home is always really dried out. This is warm in the middle, crispy on the outside. The pickles are fantastic, and the chili. Oh, that's way better than any falafel I've ever had before. It's just fantastic. Thank you so much. It'll keep me going. Shukran. Thank you.
Welcome to Lebanon.
Tripoli is world famous for its sweet pastries, particularly baklava. And apparently here at Rafat Halab, they make the best in the whole of Lebanon. Bilal Hilal, whose grandfather founded the company in 1881, is going to show me how to make the world-famous baklava. I heard a rumour that you make the best baklava in the whole of...
Thank you very much. We have all kinds of baklava.
And they're small little pieces. I'm not used to seeing big ones.
These are small pieces. Also we have with pine nuts, borma, with pistachio, and the traditional baklava diamond shape.
And it's great. Baklava was considered a food for the rich and believed to have been first made by the Assyrians around the 8th century BC. However, the Turks too had a big influence on sweets, which are so popular in the Middle East. They are often eaten between meals and are something to accompany coffee. The key to baklava is the numerous paper-thin layers of pastry separated by films of ghee. Ghee is melted butter with the milk solids removed and was traditionally made by Bedouins. The hard work is rolling out the dough. You need 30 layers and the pastry needs to be very thin. So what happens to the rest sheet that's going on
Yeah,
now.
it's a single sheet.
Okay. And does this give it a really crispy bottom, does it?
Yes.
First, there's the bottom layer of pastry onto which you ladle the ghee. Then come 14 more sheets on top. This is the fattening bit, huh?
Yeah.
This is the one that makes you... Next, it's a mixture of crushed nuts. Here we're using cashews and pine nuts. Then it's another 15 layers of pastry. Before going into the oven, exactly 19 ladles of ghee are evenly spread across the pastry, which is being cut into the classic diamond shapes. Baklava is found all over the Middle East, also in Turkey, Greece and the Balkans.
2 hours. Now to the syrup section.
So what's in here?
This is sugar syrup. It's hot.
Very hot. And this
Yeah.
is boiling.
You can hear the voice of the baklava now. It's telling you I'm finished.
What do you mean, the voice of it? Oh!
See, you can hear it bubbling.
But and that's because it's so hot. It's
So
absolutely
hot,
boiling.
yeah.
Oh. Okay, here we
Take
go.
one, and don't forget.
Just look at the layers on that. It's a piece of heaven. Oh.
What else?
That's gotta be the taste of Lebanon.
Yeah, c'est le goût de Liban.
In Lebanon, as all over the Middle East, nomadic culture and its cuisine also have an influence that is hard to ignore. The Nawa are gypsies who can be found all over the country. Many have adapted to modern life, while others still lead their lives much in the same way as their ancestors did. This family, Al Ali, come from the Nahim tribe that originated in the north of Syria and have lived in the hills above Tripoli since the 1800s, moving with their herd to the mountains in summertime. I mean, this is not particularly comfortable view, it has to be said, but it's all over, that's it, it's done. And, you know, you've seen the way the animals lived, so... And if this is Dubar, it's her brother that's doing it, and she's perfectly comfortable here, so... I mean, I suppose in a way, if you're going to eat meat, you should be able to watch that, and if you can't watch them, maybe you should eat meat. The goat is slaughtered at 4 to 5 months, and traditionally roasted on a spit. This all looks like rough bush to me, but apparently it's full of herbs, and we're looking for herbs now to have with our meal. I'm not quite sure what I'm looking for. Zua, okay. Salata, and I understood that. Now it tastes like a kind of thyme, and I think she said we're going to put it into a salad. Really strong. Hi.
Hi.
I can help now.
Oh.
What are we making here? That's definitely garlic. A pound the garlic? Garlic's going to go into the bowl. Smells awesome. These lemons just look great and they smell fantastic. I mean, they're really organic. So it's the last drop of oil. And the oil's really important because you've got to remember that these sheep and goats that live in this land are quite lean. Some salt. And then we stir. Mix. Okay, I'm going to give it a good mix. I'm going to slash here now. Will I slash? It's a deep slash and then I put it right inside, yeah, like that. Need to chop my finger off then. Loads of the garlic going in the slashes. I notice I'm the only one who cooks treat.
No.
I'm going to fed by hand now. Awesome. Finished? Here, take meat, take meat, take the meat. Although the family don't own this land, their philosophy is summed up well by an Arabic expression. This is where our head fell. In other words, it's where they belong. So back to where my journey began, I head south down the coast to Beirut.
Welcome! 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 Welcome!
Talk about a change of scenery. I'm here at Future TV because in 1 hour I'm going to be appearing live all over the Middle East on the Chef Ramsay show. Hi. That's if they let me in. Hi, hi, hi. Now, apparently, the show's been going for 30 years, and Chef Ramsay's tall and got a bit of an ego, so I'm a little bit nervous. Hi, I'm from Planet Food. I'm going to be a guest on the Chef Ramsay show. Just want to know where I need to go? The black door. Okay, wicked, thanks. Okay, bye. This is the studio. God, it's enormous. Hi, I'm with Chef Ramsay today. I'm Marilyse.
I'm Ali. I'm
Hi.
director.
You're director?
Yes.
Hi, I'm Marilyse. Nice to meet you. Chef Ramsay.
Yes.
Is he nice? He's going to be nice
Yes,
to
very
me?
nice, yes.
Good.
Okay.
Is he, I hear he's tall.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm
He's tall. I will put to you.
on a box.
Yes.
Did you hear that? He's basically saying I'm short. Do you do Chef Ramsay's hair?
Yeah, Chef Ramsay.
You do his hair? Is he a nice guy?
He's nice.
My friend, Chef Ramsay.
Is he your friend? Really? I hear he's very tall. There are 15 minutes to transmission, and I've just heard that Chef Ramsay is in the building. Oh, my hair's going to be so bouffant. I love your show. I've been watching it in my hotel room.
Okay.
It's really good. Nice jacket.
You will have one also. Because you will be doing most of the cooking. I will be helping you.
Really? Oh, okay. How many people will be watching us?
Approximately between 8 to 10 million.
Did you hear that? 8 to 10 million? Wicked. Really?
Yeah.
Stand by.
اليوم بمحطة شيف رمزي عندنا مشاهدينا ضيفة جاية من انجلند. Welcome. First to Future Television.
Thank you for having
me. And to Lebanon. And we're happy to have you here in our show عالم الصباح.
And I get to meet the famous Chef Ramsay.
Yes, you have the right star, the right program, the right station, and the right country.
So what are we cooking today? Or are you going to teach me to cook?
So we are going to cook today a chicken. We are going to cook the rice, which is prepared in a very classical Lebanese way with meat. And the chicken, instead of just using a roasted chicken, which we are going to stuff with the fruits and present it next to the rice.
Well, I'm here probably due to the cost. Poultry is eaten more than red meat in Lebanon. And for my Middle Eastern TV debut, we're cooking Lebanese stuffed chicken.
Putting some oil in the...
I'll help a bit.
Yeah, you just go for it.
Olive oil going in the pan.
That's good, yes. We pass the stock through the onions and watch the color.
Oh my God,
how
look at
it
the
will
colour,
change.
it's fantastic.
So we have used the natural color of the onion.
It's a great idea. The chicken breasts are flattened and stuffed with dried fruits that have been sautéed in butter. Apricots, prunes and sultanas, typical ingredients of the Middle East.
Lebanese chef now. She knows all the tricks and secrets of the Lebanese cuisine.
That's praise indeed coming from Chef Ramsay, I can tell you.
Yeah, I think the chicken is burning now.
Okay. The rice is cooked and fried with minced beef, onion, garlic and spices, then garnished with pistachios, pine nuts, almonds and more dried fruit which is sprinkled on top. Delicious.
وربحنا اللون الطبيعي الموجود للبصل ونقلناه للرز. And this is our dish.
Wow.
It is usually presented in the main family or big festivities in Lebanon. لكن هذا الطبق.
so much.
Okay, thank you Chef Marlene.
Thank you.
Most welcome. إلى اللقاء في حلقة جديدة مرات دائما من خلال شاشة تلفزيون المستقبل.
Bye. Oh, that was so fantastic.
Most welcome.
I really enjoyed it. Oh, that's the end of their show, and it's kind of the end of our show too. And I have to say, everybody's been so welcoming, and this show has kind of summed up Lebanon for me because I've come in here, they've made me feel like I've been on the show 1,000 times before. They've cooked a dish, which is again a dish about sharing, about family food, and you know it's a country that welcomes you with its food and its culture, and I will be back, definitely. But next time I come back I won't be working.
Stay tuned for a special Globe Trekker Extra.